Hi, happy 38th day of 2024. So, do you talk to yourself? I talk to myself all the time. Sometimes I get concerned because I answer myself too. Do you do that to yourself? Do you have all these conversations all by yourself? Do you replay conversations that you've already had? Do you pre-plan conversations that you're going to have? Yeah, you do that too? Well, guess what? We're not the only ones. Everybody does that. So, have you ever found yourself not only just kind of talking to yourself, planning out these things, or just kind of down talking things, or kind of pumping yourself up for things to happen? Well, there's times where we have to not only talk to ourselves, but there's times where we have to kind of check ourselves and get to the point where we're just like, all right, chill out. It's okay. It's okay. Everything's fine. You know how when a baby's crying and you're just like, it's okay. And you're holding them and you're rocking them. You're like, it's okay. You're okay, puppy. You're okay, right? Well, sometimes don't you find yourself having to tell yourself that? Well, if you haven't, I think you should give yourself permission to try to calm yourself down too. And you know what? Let me introduce you to Psalms 42. Psalms 42 is a whole entire chapter. Obviously, we stick to a verse, but there's a whole chapter and it's talking about it's almost like an inner struggle. And the writer is struggling with self, so struggling with it says despair. So let's go to 42:5. And it says, "Why are you in despair, my soul? And why are you restless within me? Wait for God, for I will again praise him for his help, for his presence." My God. Yeah. Sometimes we've got to tell ourselves, despite our situation, despite our emotions, despite our thoughts, we've got to kind of talk to ourselves and say, you know what, Marilu, you're okay. Things are crazy. Things are out of control. You're angry. You're frustrated. You're disappointed. You're discouraged, but it's okay. Recently, I was having a conversation with my son, actually, and we were talking about how most of the time we have to kind of tell the committee that's in our head all the thoughts that we're going through, all these things that trigger another thing, and it spirals us into these moments of despair, of anxiety, and all. We just have to kind of take a moment, step back, and just be like, "Hey, relax. It's okay." So I was telling my son that I had this experience one time, and from that moment, I think it just changed my life. It's almost like a light bulb turned on in my head, and I just switched. So I was telling him that I was always running against the clock. I'm constantly running, chasing that clock, chasing that clock. Got to be here. Got to do this. Got to do that. And one morning, I was working at once upon a time. I was working multiple jobs. I actually had three jobs going at the same time, and I had to be at one job at 6 in the morning, but I had to be at the other job at 7:30 in the morning. So in the morning between 6 and 7, I had to give myself enough time to do all these things. I had to print, I had to sign, I had to create charts, I had to do all these things, and I just had an hour. And sometimes when I only had two or three to do was fine, but when I had about 7 or 8 to do within an hour, the 60 minutes is all I had. Regardless of how many I had to do, that is all that I had was 60 minutes. So there were times that I was just so stressed out because I felt I kept looking at the time. And of course, I had my phone right next to the computer, and so the digital clock was just there. So I saw the minutes just tick away and tick away and tick away, and I kept looking at the time because I was trying to go fast and I was typing, trying to go fast. But I realized one day that I told myself, I had to tell myself, like, it doesn't matter whether you type fast or you type slow, the 60 seconds is always going to be the exact same amount of time. So I had to tell myself to calm down. I had to lower my own breathing. I had to take that deep breath. I had to cause my heart to start slowing down because I would start sweating. I would just start making mistakes. The printer would jam up. My computer would lock. I would press the keys and it just wasn't working. I typed the wrong thing and then I had to retype it. And it was all the anxiety that I was having because I was on that time crunch. And one morning, I just told myself, you can do this. But I just didn't keep telling myself over and over. I was just like, okay, I'm going to get it. I'm going to be able to do this. I'm going to be able to do this. And just stay there instead of telling myself, oh my God, I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to have enough time. I'm going to run late. And then I would just go into this spiral, or I'm going to be late. What if there's traffic? What if I'm going down the street and the train comes, then I'm going to be even later? What am I going to say? What's going to be my excuse? Like, I would just spiral over something that wasn't even, I mean, it was serious. Don't get me wrong. We have to be punctual. We have to be good stewards of our time, especially when we're on the clock, you know? But I was just going. My mind was just going. And then that day came when I was just like, it's going to be okay. And I don't know how it happened. I don't know what triggered it to happen. But all of a sudden, like literally all of a sudden, I just felt like a huge boulder was taken off my shoulders. And I just set it aside in my mind. And I literally, guys, literally put my shoulders back and I just started typing. And I was like, all right. And I was not typing fast. I told myself, don't hit print every single time. Just so, but I wasn't really coaching myself as much as I told myself, you're okay. You are okay. And can I tell you, this happened about maybe 3 years ago, and my life completely changed. That I got to the point that the clock was no longer mastering me, where I got to the point that I was mastering the clock. But can I tell you, I've been chasing the clock for years. I was a single parent for 11 years, and I worked 3 jobs for 11 years. So I can manage time. And I run the clock. I chase that clock all day, every day. However, that moment that I did that, it changed my health. My physical health changed, my mental health changed, where it was just like I had to redirect my energies, redirect my thoughts for just a moment. And it brought me right back to Psalms 42, the whole entire chapter where he's struggling and he's telling himself, why are you in despair, my soul? Why are you restless within you? Wait for God, for I will again praise him for the help of his presence, my God. So I encourage you today, if you don't know how to stop your anxiety attacks, if you don't know how to stop crying, if you don't know why you're even crying or why you're having anxiety attacks or why you're depressed or why you're lonely or why you're discouraged, just take a second. Talk to your soul. Calm your soul down. Love on your soul. Give yourself permission to be like, oh, you're human. You're just having a bad day. You're just having a bad moment. It's okay. Tell yourself, give yourself that permission to say, you know what? Why are you restless? Why are you in despair? Just be at peace and trust in God. He's your God and He's with you at all times. Have an amazing day. I will talk to you soon. Remember to subscribe, comment, share, and like. See you soon.